I'm Michaela Dowdy, and I am one of the financial advisors here at Wiser Wealth Management. Today, we'll be talking about how much life insurance coverage do you need and what type of life insurance should you be considering. So jumping in, first things first, if you are someone that has Googled this already, which I'm sure you are if you're watching this video, then typically, you're going to see a lot of different options as to how you can calculate this. One that we like to look at, though, here at Wiser is the DIME formula. So that's first looking at your debts and final expenses. So when you're thinking of life insurance, you need to understand, well, what debts do I need to have paid off for my family? So is that your auto loans, any sort of credit cards, any sort of loans and liabilities you have? Next, you want to look at your income. So, understanding if you're the primary earner for your family, what income are you bringing in your family needs in order to maintain their current lifestyle? Even if you're in a 50-50 household or a 80-20, whatever it may be household for your income and expenses that you have coming into your household, it's looking at those and understanding, well, what is it that will need to be supplemented if I am no longer here? And then what does that income need to be that would then need to be supplemented with life insurance? Next, it's looking at your mortgage. How much of your mortgage will need to be paid off? What do you have left on that remaining balance? And it's understanding there, you likely want to have that paid off in the instance that you're no longer, here and able to provide that second income source or be the primary provider that you are. You want to make sure that you have that taken care of and that that's paid off and that's not a stressor any of your family's having to worry about. Then lastly, it's education. So if you have children and you're looking at, okay, we want to provide for a private education or for college education, and you're wanting to make sure that that's taken care of, then you need to be accommodating for that as well in your life insurance to whatever capacity that extends to. So it's reflecting on that. And then you can add all of these together and get that cumulative figure of number of okay, this is what would be needed on an annual basis or over the duration of however many years. And that's a great formula that you can take into account to determine how much life insurance you need. Now, when we're getting into it, though, you then want to understand, well, what type of life insurance do I need? And at Wiser, we are big proponents of term life insurance. So that is essentially when you have, $1 million for a 10-year term. So you essentially then are paying for $1 million of a 10-year time period of your life is covered, that if anything happens to you, your family will receive $1 million for a set premium that you are paying each year that does not change or fluctuate year over year for that 10-year time span. So that is something that we love to look at and love to guide our clients towards. Now, whole life policy is another ballgame as well that can definitely be beneficial if you have estate planning or business planning concerns that need to be taken care of with whole life. And that is typically not something that the average American, average client is having to deal with and try and understand for estate tax purposes, business buyout purposes, anything like that, that's necessary. So that is a very rare occurrence, but that's where it's really important to bring a financial advisor into these conversations so that you can best understand, okay, what is going on here? What do I need to be planning for? Is a term policy the best policy for me and in my best interest, or is it a whole life policy later down the line to look into, even though a whole life policy would be a lot more expensive? Now, if you want to get into the ins and outs of whole life policies, we have other videos on that to consider, so I won't dive into that today, but do know there are other options out there and that primarily for most people, a term life insurance policy is going to be your ideal way to go. But it is huge to involve a financial advisor into these conversations so that they can look at your big picture, your long-term goals, and make sure that regardless of what happens in your lifetime, that your family will continue to be provided for the duration of all of their longevity as well. So it's making sure that everyone's taken care of and having those established there. So if you have any questions about what we've discussed today, please let us know. And we are happy to help here at Wiser Wealth Management. So thank you for watching.